Hello recruits and welcome to this training video in which we are going to be learning about a new service called FTP, File Transfer Protocol, and how we can abuse it and exploit it, sometimes if we find it running on a target machine. So we looked at SSH, Secure Shell, in our last mission, which uses port 22. FTP typically uses port 21. Now, the idea is we're going to hack onto this machine. This is our demonstration machine, remember? You can see it's user 202's machine right there, user 202. And this is running in the memory of our main machine. And then we've got an attacking parrot machine here, SR202. So this is a different machine to this one, two different virtual machines. They're both running in memory. The idea is we're going to hack onto this one from here using, well, first of all FTP, and then we'll be using that to gain access via SSH. So let's kind of just get to it, and I'll just maximize everything here, recruits. So FTP, File Transfer Protocol, why use it? Why does it exist? Well, if we go back to the office, Mr. Brown and Mrs. Jones working in the office, we had a file server. So a computer in the office, its job is just to serve files out to people in the office. That means all of those files don't mean to be stored locally on every single machine in the office. And furthermore, people would even be able to access it if it's set up to allow it from their home working environments as well. So they can connect across to the file server using the FTP, File Transfer Protocol service, usually running on port 21. And that's a typical use case, recruits. Now the thing is, sometimes we can find problems with FTP in different ways we can abuse and exploit it. Now we're not going to get access like a full shell onto a machine from FTP unless there's a problem with the actual source code of the FTP and there's a vulnerability in it, which we're going to talk about in our next mission. But in this mission, we're going to assume that is not the case, but we can use stuff that we find. We can use interesting information that we find from FTP to possibly abuse and exploit a different service running on a machine. So this hack we're learning is a two-step hack. It's going to be FTP and then onto SSH. So let's just get to it. I think it will make a lot more sense once we see what's going on. So we're going to run nmap, and again we need super user do, so sudo privileges, because it's a powerful tool. We're going to be using the small s big S, so this flag for the SYN scan, the stealthy scan, remember recruits. And we're not going to mess with the port. We could just scan port 21, but hey, what if there are other ports as well open? So we're just going to let it scan more than one port. Now, by default, nmap scans the top 1000 ports, the most common 1000. We can actually make it faster and just go for the top 100. And that's what we're going to do. How do we make it faster? Well, we use the capital F flag for fast. So it's going to be a fast scan. Now the machine, the target machine, the IP, well, the subnet part is 10.10.10, and then it's host 202. And of course we'll need our password. And there we go, we get our response, and look at this. Aha! Port 22 is open, SSH, we've seen this before, but here's our new service to play about with, recruits. Port 21 is open and FTP is listening. Now, when we see this, one thing we always want to check for, recruits, is can we get anonymous access to the file service? Sometimes this is possible. It shouldn't really be possible, but if somebody's misconfigured it, it is possible. And certainly it's something we should be checking for. When I say anonymous access, recruits, I mean just being able to get on without a username and password. Usually you would need a username and password to access that file server. So Mr. Brown would need his username, Brown1, and he would need his password, whatever it might be. But we're going to try, and we're going to try FTP, which is the tool which is on our local machine, and then just the IP address of where we want to connect. And we're going to try the name anonymous. And we're going to see if it works. It shouldn't, but it might do if it has been misconfigured. And there we go, login successful. Ah, interesting. Remote system type is Unix. So we're looking at a Linux machine that we're attacking. Of course, we already knew this, but it's useful to know. If you didn't know that, it would be useful for you to know. Now, Sometimes when you're doing anonymous login, it will also prompt for a password, and then you just press enter, leave it blank, recruits, and hopefully you will get through like this. Now, terminal tiger commands, let's see if any of them work. Our present working directory or print working directory. Okay, how about list? See what's here. Interesting, recruits. We can see the files being served and the directories containing more files being served by the FTP service. So these files are being opened out to everybody. I say you can access these files. So remember D for directory, so there's a directory called messages, and then we've got this text file, readme.txt. Hey, why don't we have a look at it, recruits? Remember this, cat readme.txt, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work because we're not actually on that system at the moment, recruits. We don't have a shell onto it really. We're just accessing these files from the file service, from the file server, using the service FTP. So what are we going to do about this? Well, what good is this, you may be thinking? We're going to get a local copy of readme.txt. Now, before I do, I should probably prove that we don't have it already on our machines. So if you look, SR202, SR202. So I'm just going to list what's here. And you can see we don't have readme.txt on our attacking machine. So I'm going to get readme.txt. It's transferred, transferred all of the data. And now I'm just going to use the buy command to come out of it. I could have done exit as well. And now, if we come back here and we list, there it is, readme.txt. So we have transferred, we've copied across the file. And let's see what is inside it. Oh, hello, recruits. Now, of course, we would normally be looking for sensitive files, recruits, credentials, logon names, passwords, anything that looks juicy and sensitive. We would be looting it and bringing it back to our local machine and then catting out the contents and having a look inside, recruits. So really, credentials are the things we're really interested in, because then maybe we could use them with the SSH service. So let's clear this. And let's go back to our FTP, because I seem to remember that it helps if I'm not talking and coding at the same time, or hacking, as the case may be. Recruits, let's go back to it. I forgot to do anonymous. There we go. And now I seem to remember there's a messages directory. So change directory into messages. Will it work? Yes. Did it work? Yes. We can see we're now in messages. And now let's have a look what's here. Oh, look, recruits, we found creds.txt and hello.txt. Now we could get them individually, right? We could do that. Or we could just get them all. We could grab everything in this directory. Now, that's a multiple get. Multiple, more than one. So multiple get, mget. And remember this, the star. We've seen this before. This wildcard means everything. If you remember, we saw that before when we were using the find command, and we didn't know the proper name, so we just put something like this, and the wildcard was any characters before and any characters after. Well, that's going to apply here when we do multiple get, so mget star. It just means get everything. Now, if we do this, recruits, as it is, it will actually keep asking us, do you want this? Do you want this? So we're going to turn off the prompt first. Going to just turn that off. The interactive mode is off. Prompt. And then it will just grab everything, and we don't have to try to say yes to each. Of course, you could leave it on if there are some that you want and some you don't want, and you can go individually, but I just want to grab everything. So now, mget all. And there we go. We've now got these as well. And if we come over here, we should find, and we do find, that we've now got creds.txt and readme.txt, and we didn't have them before. So that's about it on that machine. Of course, I could CD back up, and I could see that we're back here. But notice I can't go any higher, right? Notice I can't go any higher. I am restricted, I am trapped, I am stuck, locked into what's on the file server. So the root of the file server has been set by whoever configured it. So that means we can't go just looking around the entire machine. That's what I'm saying when I said we don't have a proper shell onto the machine. Well, hopefully that's to come. So let's exit out of this. You can use buy as well, of course, to come out of FTP. Now, let's just actually close this, and we can see it from here. So let's cat, first of all, hello.txt, Well, hello, this is a message, useful. And then let's do what we're really interested in, I guess, creds.txt. Agent Nova, forgotten key. Now we know about this guy from before, right? Agent Nova, so it's nothing new in that. Of course, we know that we can SSH onto the target machine using these credentials from our last mission. But this is kind of, imagine that we didn't know that. Imagine we hadn't got that. Imagine we hadn't got those leaked credentials already. Well, we could have just found them off the FTP. You won't always find them, but it's always worth having a look. So when we're hacking, we're always enumerating. Enumerating means looking around. Always looking around, trying to find things, recording everything we find, because it might come in useful later. And by the way, a lot of people, recruits, use the same password for many, many purposes, for different services and different machines. Bear that in mind when you get to your main mission. It's quite an important little clue, recruits. Lots of people use the same passwords. Password reuse is a big, big security issue. Anyway, now we have used FTP to get these credentials. The next thing, we're going to try to SSH, because if you remember, Nmap showed us that SSH was already running as well. So sudo, we're going to use, actually we don't even need it, we can just use SSH. And we are going to SSH as Agent Nova, and it's going to be to our target machine, our demo machine. Password, well, forgotten key. And there we go. Who am I? Agent Nova. And you can see we are on a completely different machine, and we've just found our flag. Now, we couldn't do this before, recruits, remember, with FTP, because we were locked in that particular place which had been configured for the file server. But now we can indeed, with SSH, we've got a proper shell, right? We can look around and we can go up and we can go into all of these various places we've seen before. We've got a proper shell now here, right? So let's go back home and get back to there, and we're going to cat the flag.txt. Okay, so FTP plus SSH equal fun, and they certainly do sometimes, recruits. So there you go. There's another step along your hacking journey with us in the Network Geckos. So if you find FTP running, check for anonymous login. If you get on with it, enumerate. So look around, get everything, grab everything that looks juicy and sensitive. And then if there's another service running, such as SSH, see if you can use any of those data, any credentials you may have found, to try and get back onto the same machine using a different service, so which would be SSH. And of course, if there are other machines around on the subnet, well, hey, try getting onto those, try hacking onto those with that juicy data you may well have found from abusing and exploiting FTP anonymous logon. Okay, recruits, your main mission, it's serious, it's all in the mission card. Good luck with it. We're counting on you as always, and hope you enjoyed the videos. As always, until next time, take care.